Perfection has kept more people stuck than failure ever has. Starting, stopping, asking the wrong people for their opinions, fear, you name it. So many of us are waiting to feel ready, waiting to feel confident, waiting to feel certain. But readiness rarely comes before movement. Today, I want to talk about why trying imperfectly or quietly and honestly is often the bravest thing we can do for ourselves. Hi, my name is Jacqueline, and welcome to Pace. Years ago, I read one of Brene Brown's books called Braving the Wilderness. And in this book, she speaks about all the unspoken, quiet things we rehearse to our insecure selves when we're facing anything unknown. Because of this book, I learned how to travel the world solo. And because of that, I found that there's an entire world out there to experience. Literally. One of her many famous quotes from that book says, "Stop walking through the world looking for confirmation that you don't belong. You will always find it because you've made that your mission." We're taught that there's a moment when everything will click, when fear disappears, when confidence arrives, when the timing finally feels right. But for most of us, that moment never comes. Not because we're not capable, but because readiness is built through action, not before it. Waiting for perfect conditions often means waiting indefinitely because life continues to change. No new day is the same. Let's take starting a family as an example. Most people never feel fully ready to start a family. Even people who planned carefully, financially, emotionally, logistically, still describe a sense of you can't truly know until you're in it. A lot of parents report feeling uncertain or nervous, just simply unprepared. Most of us parents will tell anyone that the feeling of quote unquote ready doesn't arrive first, but love and growth does. Life events like career stability and financial security, emotional maturity, or even relationship readiness, those things rarely align perfectly at the same time. There's just the moment, though, when we decide that we actually want to try. And that is the moment that we need to use. Research in psychology shows that humans adapt really quickly to major life changes, including parenthood, through learning and support after the change occurs. Confidence tends to grow with experience, not anticipation. So would you agree that preparedness increases after the transition and not before? We just can't manage to accurately and consistently predict next steps every single time. However, we can participate. The Bible teaches that fear often grows when we try to carry things we were never meant to hold by ourselves, like anxiety and like stress. In 1 Peter 5:7, it says, "Cast all your anxiety on him because he cares for you." Fear loosens its grip when we hand the weight back to God. New parents often report that fear doesn't vanish once the decision is made. It simply changes form. So to me, it sounds like fear coexists with joy. Fear coexists with growth. It coexists with commitment. But it will never have the final say as long as it is recognized for what it is and used to align yourself with the next healthy steps forward. The presence of fear doesn't mean the decision was wrong. It often means the decision matters and means enough to you to have real concerns about getting it right. Choosing to start an unknown is often less about certainty and more about openness to learn, openness to adjust, and openness to commit. This mirrors all sorts of life transitions, careers, callings, creative projects, and even faith steps. These are things we just can never be completely certain about. The great news is that trying doesn't require certainty. However, it does require our willingness. Let's talk about trying and rushing. First, they're not the same thing, not at all. When I think of rushing, I think chaos and the possibilities of something slipping through the cracks. I think of how disappointed I'll be if I'm late, and how the receiver might view me differently if I don't come through. All of that sounds like self-sabotage, and usually it is. It also sounds like fear, because rushing truly is driven by fear. But trying is driven by intention. In the example above, my intentions are to make a good impression, to be called on again for something else, to be known as the one who came through and handled the situation the way the receiver wanted it handled. Rushing says, I need to prove something, while trying says, I'm willing to begin. Pace doesn't ask you to sprint. It simply asks you to take the next honest step. What are your next steps? Are they honest? Are they true to you? Or are you still trying to prove yourself to external misrepresentations? Whatever the next step is, remember, it doesn't need to be loud to be meaningful. Many people aren't really afraid of failure itself. We're really afraid of judgment and comparison and getting it wrong publicly, or maybe even confirming a fear we've already carried. But avoiding action, not trying, not taking that next honest step doesn't protect you. It only delays growth. Trying, it really gives us information. Right along with failure, it gives us data. It teaches us what works, what doesn't work, and what might need a little bit of adjusting. Perfection teaches you nothing because it keeps us second guessing. It keeps us readjusting and stagnant, not moving forward. And all for what purpose? All to prove what? Scripture encourages forward movement, not flawless execution. In Philippians, we're reminded to press on, not to wait until everything is perfect. Progress in faith, in life, and in purpose often looks like obedience, but in motion. Small steps taken consistently matter far more than big plans never acted on ever would. Trying is not a lack of faith. It's often a beautiful expression of it. What about success? How do we get there? How do we feel successful? What if success was simple? Simple like showing up, going to the next conference that you've been dreading because it's in an unknown location, raising your hand in that room, even though you're extremely nervous, adjusting, working on that book once everyone else is in bed, and continuing, taking a walk all year long in fresh air, even when there's snow on the ground. Pace allows room for mistakes, but without the shame. It creates space to grow without burning out. And it reminds us that beginnings are allowed to be messy. If there's something you've been holding back on, a conversation, a new project, an idea, a career move, maybe a certification or a degree, a podcast, weight loss. You don't need perfection to start. You just need permission. So here it is. Try. Gently. Try. Honestly. Try at a pace that preserves you. Movement doesn't require certainty. It just requires courage. So, thank you for listening to Pace. And I am really, really glad that you're here. Until next time.